So let me guess, you are being forced to use a traditional database like MySQL? Do you remember the last time you loved writing transformed API? You know, to get the data from your database and send it to your fancy Node application? Well, I certainly can't. To solve this exact problem, we have Prisma, a Node.js and TypeScript ORM. ORM stands for Object Related Mapping, and it's a technique that lets you query and manipulate the data from a database using an object-oriented method. An ORM library can be written in any language. So to put this in a simpler term, an ORM library lets you manipulate a traditional database like MySQL using objects, and in this specific case from Node.js. So please stick around. In this short video, I'll take you through Prisma website, setup, and basic CRUD functionalities with some relations sprinkled in. Also, I will show you a cool studio feature as well, which lets you see your data in the browser. Alrighty, so let's check their website, and apparently they have 25k stars on GitHub, which is always a good sign. And if I scroll down, they have a sample of a schema here, and apparently they have their own language going on here called .prisma file. And if I scroll down here, they have these supported languages. They're supporting JavaScript and TypeScript, and then there's assorted DBs here. The one we will be using to demonstrate today is MySQL, and then there are some features here as well, like type-safe database clients. There's VS Code extension as well. Also, migration is part of the package as well. And then there's Prisma Studio, which is basically a way to see your data in the browser. We'll check that as well. Alright, so let's get started with this. I have created a folder called code, and I have opened this folder in my VS Code. Now at the bottom I have terminal window open, so I will be writing my commands here. So first we need to initialize npm, and a configuration has been added. Next we will install TypeScript and some related dependencies as well. And then we will create a tsconfig file, and then we will add this code here. Let me decrease the size of my terminal so you can see. This is basically a TypeScript config file. If you don't know, we will install Prisma as well, and then we will initialize Prisma, and the data source provider will be MySQL for us. Alternatively, you can choose a bunch of different options here as well, like SQLite or MongoDB, but I will stick with MySQL. So if you look at the sidebar here, there's a env file which will contain the database URL. So in our case, it's MySQL URL. And then there's Prisma folder. Let's see what's inside. So inside the Prisma folder, this is where our schema will live. So as you can see, database is initialized by the URL defined in env file. So now let me zoom out a bit and let me define a schema here. So in this case, we have a user object which has ID, email, name, and posts. And then we have post object with title, content, and other details. And as you can see, there's a relation happening as well. So this is how we defined our schema. So this command is migrating and then initializing the migrations as well. So it will create some files which will have the migrations. So before we run this command, let me open MySQL Pro. And probably you know this client. This is a very good client for MySQL for the Mac. So let us run this command now. Let's see what happens. Alright, so it gave an error, and the error is because the credentials for the MySQL is incorrect. So let me fix that. So I have a very secure password here, and I will name my database Prisma, and I will run that command again, and it worked. It has created some files here as well under the Prisma folder. So if I go there, and you can see that these migrations, these SQL queries has been created. and if I go to MySQL Pro, you can see that automatically the database was created, and also these two tables were created, the posts and the users. So what if we want to change our schema? Let's say we want to add additional field called phone, and it's going to be string as well. And for post, we are going to create a new field called created at, and it's going to be time, date time. By the way, I have installed this extension for VS Code, which gives me a highlight for the code here for the schema. So let me run this command again. Let's say, okay, so it's asked me for the description for the new migration. We'll say new. Okay, so the new migration has been created. Now let me see if it updated the MySQL. So currently we don't have the phone number here for the user. Let me refresh the table, and now we do. So if we go to the content structure, there's a new field that was added called phone. And for the posts, we have this new field called created at as well. So this is pretty convenient actually. You can control your database structure from your client. So let's do some database manipulation now, shall we? I will create a file called scripts, and I have opened this script now, and I have put some boilerplate code here. So let's see. So here we have imported the Prisma client, and we are initiating the Prisma client here, and then we can do whatever we want in our main. So let's try to create a new record. All right, so here we are creating a new user called Alice, and then we are consoling it. So let me run this script now. Alright, so it has ran. By the way, I will link the quick start guide in the video description, so check it out for the code. Okay, now if I go to SQL Pro and I refresh the table, here's the new record. And I will create another one called Adam and run it again, and it got created. Now let's try to grab all the users. I'll comment this and run it again. So it got both of the records here. So now what we'll do is we'll create a user but with a post inside it. So we have a user, but inside it there's a post related to it as well. So let me run this, and we'll pass the phone here as well. Alright, so let's see our database now. So it did create a post, and it has an author ID here, which is 3, which is connected to Bob. So now let's try to grab all the users, but with the relationship as well, which is post. Let's see if it works. And it did grab all of it. So yeah, the basic CRUD functionality is working. Alright, so now we need to update a particular record. So in this case, I want to update Bob. So what I will do is I will go to my code, and then I will write this here. So I'm updating a particular user where the email is Bob's email, and then I'm changing the name to Alex. All right, let's run it. All right, actually I can do this as well. And if I run it now again, so it shows that the name got updated. Let's check in the database if it's actually got updated. Yes, it worked. So what if we want to delete a particular user? So in this case, I want to delete Adam by his ID. So I will go back to my code, and first I will change the variable name, delete user, and then I will change this method to delete, and I will remove the second argument. And then I can say here where the ID is 2. Now if I run it, so it gave me this object, so that means it got deleted. Let's see now, and for sure it got deleted. Alright, so there are many things more to cover, but I would like to just cover one more thing, which is I think quite cool. So you can run this command in your project. It's going to open Prisma Studio server. So if I run this, and what it will do, it will open this user interface where you can see all of your data within a particular database. It has to be in the project, so in this case it's showing me the user and the post table. So if I go, let's say, to user table, I can see both of the records that I have. I can add a new record. So let's say add the email as Alex, add Prisma, name is Alex, and then save it. And if I go to my MySQL here, it has created a new record. So you can do all of the CRUD functions from here as well. So guys, this has been my overview of Prisma. There are many more things to cover, and I'm going to be using this ORM in my future video. So make sure to subscribe and like as well. And thank you for watching.